Child molestation and rape is on an active rise in our society. We wake up each day with news of an underage child as young as 2 months having been raped by an older man as old as 80 years. And some of these men are actually family members, like fathers, uncles, and so on. And although as a society we're fighting to beat this upsurge down, it seems like we're so fixated on obtaining justice for these kids that we forget other important aspects. We seem not to pay enough attention to the medical and psychological effects of these traumatic events on the kids. When we come back, we'll be joined by a clinical psychologist, a child rights activist, and family therapist, and we'll be discussing the medical and psychological effects of child molestation and rape, as well as the possible reason behind the upsurge of these events. I'm your host, Mandy, and this is Deep Dive, exclusive to My Color TV. We'll be right back. From medical movies I've watched, I've come to realize that when a full-grown woman, a lady, is raped, her sexual organs and private parts undergo a certain kind of trauma, depending on the extent of the rape. Then I'm trying to imagine for a child. So can you explain to us what happens to a child's body when that child is raped or molested? And does it have long-term effect, like maybe childlessness, one issue or the other, when the child grows up?
Of course, when an adult is raped, there is a tendency of bleeding, tear, and all that. Now, can you imagine a child with a tender vagina, soft, being raped? Of course, there will be tear. Depending on the level or extent of penetration, it will get to the womb, the bladder, the place will be shattered, and the child could contact HIV or STD. So, a lot of issues, that could be long-term, surrounds the health of that child.
But could it possibly lead to maybe childlessness, loss of womb, all these bladder issues, sure. Could a child actually die from being raped?
Yes, a child could die if there's no management. If maybe the parents were not around, and after raping the child is dumped, child could lose her life. In the during the treatment process, or even before getting to the hospital.
Okay, so let me hit straight to the main question for this conversation. What are the psychological effects of child molestation and rape?
Any child who has gone through rape will always have a post-traumatic stress disorder, where that act will always play back. Even as the child is growing up, that vision is always there. But sometimes we try to suppress the child. Growing up, we try to suppress, mingle and all that, but there will always be a playback. So that's why we always advocate for, apart from, going for justice and all that, let that child be taken care of psychologically. Let the child be managed, let the child be followed up, let there be a follow-up. Even as the child is growing up, let there be a follow-up. If not, as the child grows, as a play out, it could get to the marriage, the husband will like, what? Why is my wife different? Why does she behave? So it could be like maybe the person that raped the child has this masculine, maybe dark in complexion, and as she's growing up,
that guy
she would not want people
rapist.
like that. So there should be a proper follow-up psychologically.
Okay, what about a child that barely knows what's happening? Like this now, I'm guessing that is for a child that maybe is already 5, 6, 7, could recognize. But for that child of 2 months, 3 months, what effects could that have on the child, maybe subconsciously or consciously?
Yeah, that what we go through in life, even as kids, while we know nothing, is stored in the subconscious. It's buried there. So sometimes, as a grown-up, you could be behaving in a way you just don't understand why. It's a reflection of what happened when you were small. So that's why we are always careful, as a child growing up, whether I think a child doesn't know. Child might not be able to talk, but knows that something has happened. And if it's consistent, that the child is prone to always wanting sex.
Okay.
Yeah. So the child could like wonder, why is this child always, want sex? Because the child has grown up, even as a child, not knowing, has been fingered periodically or frequently. The child, as growing up, would always want that act. The child could
It's
get
just a
addicted to-
subconscious something.
Yes. So
Okay.
it doesn't matter whether it happened when a child knows it or not. If the child cannot record it, it's recorded in the subconscious. So it pumps up sometime in life.
From the bit I know, your NGO handles this type of case. So if someone has an issue now with this, or a mother and needs evaluation of the child, where can the person find your NGO? Where are you guys located? Do you have a social media page? What's the handle, so that the viewers out there that need your services can reach out to you?
Okay, if a child is being molested, my NGO is located in Enugu.
Okay.
And apart from being located in Enugu, we have a network of people who still do the same thing that I do. So
That you're
it doesn't
connected
matter,
with.
yes, it doesn't matter
Okay.
where it happened. Wherever you are in Nigeria, you get our contact. If we are not around to handle it, we
Pass it to
refer
someone.
you to somebody else.
Yes.
So our Facebook handle, Facebook page is www.facebook.com/PCIC Enugu, and then you can reach us. But please, I want to talk about this issue of not speaking up.
Okay.
A lot of people don't speak up. The few that speak up, sometimes people talk against them.
They try to
stigmatized.
trap them.
Yes, so people should learn how to speak up.
Okay.
Rape is not a child's play. Not to talk of when it has to do with a child. It's a life. It has a lifelong effect on a child. It's not something that one should sweep under the
Joke
carpet.
around
So
with.
people should speak up. If you have gone through it, or you know somebody, a child who is going through it, please speak up. And parents should also be watchful of people who come around your children. It doesn't matter whether an uncle, even if you don't trust your husband, please just be careful. Watch out to protect the future of that child you're putting up everything for.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Peggy Chukwuemeka, for having time to join us. It was amazing being here with you. You've heard it all, guys, firsthand. She said it not just me. It's been a wonderful conversation in the house. She has already said that we need to speak up more. We need to look out, be more careful. So parents, please take care of your children better. And also, as a society, although we are looking at obtaining justice for these kids, let's learn to take care of these children medically and psychologically. Let these children be taken for evaluation and ensure that they grow up normal and they grow up to have a healthy life and a very steady mental health in the future. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any comments on this particular conversation, or you have a topic you want us to discuss on this show, you can drop it on the comment box below. Until next time, I'm your host, Mandy, and this is Deep Dive, exclusive to My Color TV. See you next time.